C3 parents, and welcome to another edition of Parenting During Lockdown. Today is a Ginny Mom Day. Cheers to Lynette joining me. Today we are going to chat a bit about homeschooling and basically impact that the extended lockdown can have on families and how we are going to attack this issue. Lynette Pieters is a very close friend of mine. She is actually Afrikaans speaking, so she's going to try and relate all the information in English as smoothly as possible. So if she uses an Afrikaans word, we will translate for our English viewers. But Lynette used to be a teacher until about a year ago or so, and then she opted to homeschool her two young little kids. So she's been in both sides of this situation, basically being in the school system itself and then homeschooling now as well, like going through the learning curve of homeschooling, which is quite a significant learning curve for most parents. So to dive right into the whole thing, before we do, let me just take the chairs again and take a nice all right, so to go into what we're going to dive into is the first question is, what kind of tips can you give to parents that is being forcefully pushed into the situation where they actually have to home educate their kids during this time period?
All right, hi all. Yes, sure. First of all, breathe and don't panic. Just don't panic. Baby steps is needed, and lots of information that you need to search on for the curriculums that will suit your child best and you as family actually, and your child's pace. And I also think that you as a parent don't have to be a teacher or have a teacher's degree. You as a parent know your child best and I know you can cope with teaching your child.
Okay. So you've made the important comment or mention of a child following a child's pace. Let's say it's a parent that is going to continue with the curriculum that the school is on offer, because the plan is eventually to get the kids back into school. So they don't want their kid to fall behind. They want their kid to cope with the workload and the additional stresses of being at home. And we are fully aware that obviously there is families that cannot do this in the sense that they don't have access to the amount of resources needed. We live in a country that's got quite a huge gap between the haves and the have-nots. But let's focus in trying to equip both sides as much as possible. But when we look at the current curriculum as given to the children, what would you say can parents do to help the kids actually ease into the parent in the teacher role, and then also getting through the schoolwork?
All right. It depends. If your child has some school books with them, then you can just carry on with it. For example, the government schools curriculum is CAPS, and CAPS has a lovely blue book that they call it, and you can just carry on with that. But a most important note that I would like to make is that you can incorporate schoolwork, basic maths and basic home language, you can incorporate in everyday's life. You can carry on counting many blocks, clouds, trees you have in your garden, or if you don't have a garden, how many roofs you can count from your house or your flat. You can, baking is one of them as well, that you have to measure all the ingredients. But also listen to your child. If your child would like to know more about, for example, volcanoes, do some research on it and use the knowledge that you have, and you'll get there. You don't have to worry about the social social sciences. There's the one subject is called social sciences, which is basically the history of South Africa. Then you have, of course, science. You can just do normal small activities with them. Google it. You can Google some experiments that you can do with your child. But there's really no worry that you have to do the whole curriculum and know that your child will be an A student when he or she will go back. Just take every day as it is. Do some research on your own and listen to your child. Focus on their pace.
So when we are looking at children being home educated and parents and children trying to deal with the pandemic outside, but also trying to get a sort of school discipline going or academic discipline. There is obviously a huge difference between homeschooling and school schooling, if we can call it that way. But both can obviously incorporate academic education. What can a parent do to help their kid stay interested in the academics during this time period, and how do they maintain that kind of discipline that their kids actually do schoolwork Monday to Friday or whichever schedule works for the family?
All right, the one word that pops up is the word discipline. And if you need to discipline you need to discipline your child, of course, but in the way of gentle parenting. Now, in the school system, you can't do any smacking or corporal punishments. That's not allowed. So if you go and do corporal punishments at home and your child goes back to school, it's difficult for a child to understand, well, I'm being smacked at home and my teacher's not smacking me, so I'm going to carry on being naughty. So gentle parenting is extremely important, not in that sense of going back to school. If you would like to homeschool your child further, you still need to have gentle parenting, because I don't want to right now, because it all goes with respecting your child and your child respecting you, and the responsibility that you have as a parent and your child has towards himself and he or herself, and the schoolwork. So if you teach your child to be to have self-discipline, then the responsibility is so easy, the child to do the work because they want to do the work, and it's fun to do the work, as well as the connection that you have with your child. There's no connection, or there is a little connection between the teacher and the child. There's so many children in the classroom. The teacher cannot cope with having seen your child, and yourself is so important. There's not much connection between a teacher and every child, because the classroom is so full of children. It is very difficult for a teacher to communicate one-on-one action with every child with the same concept. There's not much time for that. But when you're at home, you have that one-on-one connection, and you can focus on each aspect as much as you like, as much as your child would like to as well. It depends on your child's pace. And in the school classroom, you can't have that. Or you can, but it's limited, but not at home. And you don't have that stress of, come, let's go. We have to go to school. We have to go to the shops. We have to granny and this and that. But now that you're at home, you can focus completely with your child. And even though this lockdown will eventually finish, you still can have that connection with your child without that rat race hanging upon your head.
Okay. So when we talk about pace for our children, we talk about both academic and home pace. And a lot of parents is currently doing home education kind of have the school mindset in their head that their kid has to wake up in the morning, they have to get dressed and immediately jump away, do schoolwork, get it over and done with, and they've got we have this mindset of almost about 7 until 1 or 2 in the afternoon kind of mindset of what school needs to look like. And it actually can become extremely challenging for parents who home educate currently to handle the pressures of this. How would you explain the home education kind of academic pace, not just keeping up with the kids, but the home pace as well?
To be honest, I have had the same mindset. After being a teacher, then immediately going into relaxing and when should I teach? When should I do homework, for example, washing or as such? And I have done a lot of, and I'm still actually doing a lot of research on what other mommies are doing. For example, there's a mommy that wakes up after breakfast, they start doing their schoolwork, and then only after 12 o'clock, then they can carry on with extramurals that they can complete. And then there's other mummy who does all the chores in the morning, and then only from 12 o'clock they start doing schoolwork. So it depends on what suits you. And again, without the rat race chasing you, you can do whatever you like, and it's a bliss.
Okay.
Yes.
What advice would you have for a parent that's currently feeling extremely overwhelmed? They don't know where to start. They don't know. They take their kids' books out of the suitcase or the book, out of their school suitcase, and they look at the books and they don't know where to start. They don't necessarily have access to a teacher to help them figure out what is expected in the activities of each subject. How would you guide a parent trying to figure out CAPS on their own? We are aware that CAPS, both the teacher resources and the kids resources available on the government website, which I will link below in any way, the link to that. But what would you say to parents that's currently feeling extremely overwhelmed, and how am I going to teach my child this, and where do I stop, or at least where do I start, and how much is enough schoolwork for a day? Because we used to the 9 to 2 or the 7 to 2. So now my kid is spending 2 or 3 hours a day on schoolwork. Is that enough?
First of all, breathe. Really, just breathe. I know it's a lot to take in because it's a big responsibility. It's your child's education and academics that is in your hands. So just breathe. And then the more planning you do, the better. So be prepared for your child's lesson. For what would you like to teach your child? And then, of course, there's going to be free range, which you don't have to prepare for. Just go with the flow. But if you would like to have your child doing worksheets, be prepared. Because when you sit in front of your child, and your child has a lot of respect for you, and you sit there and you don't know how to do this stuff on the worksheet, then you are confusing your child. Then your child is thinking, so mommy doesn't know Jack, so why would I want to learn from my mom or dad? So breathe, do planning, even if it's the night before or a half an hour before. Just be prepared.
To be aware what is in the worksheets so that you can answer the question, should there be.
Yes.
So what would you say to parents whose child does not want to do the schoolwork?
Well, then you have to have that deep conversation with your child of respect and responsibilities, because you as an adult have lots of responsibilities. You have bills to pay, you have washing to do, you have to keep the house clean. There's a lot of responsibilities as an adult. You need to look after your child, cook meals. But for a child's responsibility is to make sure that he or she is willing to learn and to do the work. And if you come across that burden, because lots of children feel that is a burden, it's a lot to do. But if you go over that hump and you're over that first part, you will see a child will start enjoying the work, and you're giving one-on-one connection time, one-on-one time with your I want to say learner, your child, that they love the attention, and you will see that they will remember more, they will react better, they will, learning just is going to bloom. It's really amazing that you will see how a learner can benefit from one-on-one action.
Right. We all have bad days, and especially now during lockdown, we're probably going to have more bad days because of cabin fever and feeling like we're bouncing off the walls. Obviously, then trying to get our kids to do schoolwork can become problematic. We as a family usually, because, well, we are a homeschool family, so we're a bit more flexible. We're not that stuck in a school routine, in the sense that we are pushed at a certain time, certain things need to be done. We do have a limit on screen time, and our kids really love screen time. So when they finish with their chores and they finish with their schoolwork, the TV can be put on, or at least when they're done with everything else. And part of their schoolwork is actually outside playtime. So whether they get, then the TV gets switched off at about 5, or I think it's 5 in the evening. So if they're only done with whatever they had to do at 10 to 5, they only get 10 minutes of screen time. But some days they're not even done with what they're supposed to do come 5 o'clock. And as a major, like homeschooling family, as we've always been, to our specific view of things is that tomorrow is another day. You know, they can do schoolwork on a Saturday, they can do schoolwork on a Sunday. What advice would you give to families trying to wrap their heads around the almost tomorrow is another day kind of mindset when it comes to schoolwork, when you're so used to, you work in terms, you work in a very confined Monday to Friday, this time to this time kind of mindset, and now you're at home and our kids have bad days where you have a choice. You either fight with them over schoolwork and destroy their academic curiosity, or you allow them the space to also live a bit with the mindset of tomorrow is another day. What would you recommend?
Well, you as an adult need to set an example, because if you miss something and you wanted to do it, or you had to do it that day and you couldn't, or you don't want to, and it depends on how you react to it. So if you're throwing a tantrum and mommy is throwing things around and mommy is crying, it's okay. Not to throw things, maybe, but
not the throwing things, but expressing your frustration of
to be sad. Yes, to be sad about it and to recuperate. And if you're bumped, it's okay to just take a breather. And your children are learning from your reactions. So if you're telling them it's okay to have a bad day, then tomorrow is another day, and tomorrow you can carry on.
Basically the last question is, any advice for parents? We looking at what our Minister of Education said regarding whether we actually, our schools, the future school holidays of this coming year might be completely cancelled, which obviously has a huge impact on children's ability to learn and deal with what's going on. How can, let's say that the holidays are going to be cancelled and is cancelled, how are parents going to be able to buffer their kids with the constant assault of academic information with hardly any break. What would you recommend for parents to do to help their kids cope with the mental load that comes with the continuous stream of education that they are probably facing?
Yes, well, definitely children are going to be burnt out. Obviously, it is going to happen. If there's no holidays and children need to carry on working on their academics, children are going to be tired too quickly. And they don't want to then learn, even though they know it's their responsibility, but they do not have the mental capacity to carry on. They have to have a break. And with that, you as a parent, again, you need to be the mentor, and you need to guide them. And it's going to be tough, of course, but breathing exercises and having to give your child more choices. For example, Mommy, I really don't want to do this maths now. Can I please go play outside? And then you can make that exception. There's a lot of information upon how to not panic.
Things that parents can do that we've actually, our one kid is quite academic, like he will work himself into burnout before he even asks for a break. And even if we offer a break before he reaches that, he just doesn't want to. And what we've actually instituted when we've reached that point is literally do nothing weekends, where we as a family, the chores waits until Monday, the dishes, if it's not ant season, the dishes gets to wait until Monday. There's a lot of things that can wait until Monday so that they actually can get time to play, time to relax, time to spend time with friends. And in general, just being able to have a kid, to be kids without having to stress about that constant pressure of, I need to perform at school. And I think we need to, especially for this year, lower our expectations and our standards of our children's academic performance during this lockdown and afterwards, at least until we're out of the woods. We as adults are struggling to cope. And with all of that then encompassing the fear and the worry, like when we do go out in public space, will it be safe? And we are educating our kids so thoroughly about how damaging this virus can be, that chances are that there will be a PTSD spillover into having to go back to school, having to deal with that anxiety of being with their friends. And we need to take that into account, if I understand things correctly, whether they get holidays or not, that they're going to have more mental breaks or chances to take a break than, I always want to say, than what they need to do their homework. And I know, and I see that eyebrow, they were like, you just said to a teacher, the kids don't need to do homework. But I suspect that most teachers might be able to absorb the fact that little Johnny wasn't capable of doing his homework, because really it's just been, it's enough is enough. And
but I would like to add that you do get parents and children that are overachievers, and they would love to do more and more exercises. And in order not to have a burnout and panic attacks, you need to manage that. Again, listen to your child, know what your child is capable of and their potential is, that you need to channel the exercises that you are giving them, and that your child, like you said, is still a child.
Yeah.
So do not burn them out, even though they would like to carry on. They still need to learn how to live.
Right. Well, thank you for your time, Lynette. I really appreciate it. I'm probably going to knock on your door anyway for some more other drinking game. Never have I ever kind of game. Thank you for your time. You've got a beautiful family, and you're an amazing mother and an amazing teacher, and thank you that I could press on your expertise for this segment. Guys, if you like this video, if you enjoyed what we're doing, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell so you get notifications, and we'll see you on the next installment. Thank you, Lynette.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.